Oh my god, hey! My name is Mickey Jo.
And I'm Aaron James.
And we are here at the St Martin's Theatre in the West End for the 30,000th performance of The Mousetrap. But first, what exactly is The Mousetrap and how did it reach this astonishing milestone? Well, The Mousetrap is an iconic thriller play written by the renowned mystery author Agatha Christie, the creator of such iconic sleuths as Miss Marple and Hercule Poirot. The Mousetrap takes place at a newly opened guest house during a snowstorm, where a handful of strangers are all about to arrive. Before they do, however, while the charming couple who are running this guest house, Monkswell Manor, are preparing for their arrival, we learn that earlier in the day, some distance away in London, there has been a murder. And so it is a classic whodunit in 2 acts, one that gradually reveals more and more information to you about its characters, and one which asks you to keep its secrets. This production, I believe, has held the Guinness World Record for the most continuous performances since 1958, and obviously it continues to do so today. It remains the longest running theatrical production in the world. Over the course of its West End lifetime, it has seen considerable change not only in the theatrical landscape, but also in the world. And here is what happened when the show finally reached 30,000 performances. Oh my god, hey, we are on our way to the St Martin's Theatre to go and see The Mousetrap, celebrating a very exciting milestone tonight, but because it's not an anniversary, like I think they do an anniversary acknowledgement every year, and they change the signage to go from now and it's 72nd year now and it's 73rd year, and I think we're on 73, maybe we're on 77, maybe, I don't know. I don't know to what extent there's going to be any kind of acknowledgement or celebration this evening. I dare say there might be a speech, perhaps a cake, but I don't think it's a fully fledged gala. I think for all intents and purposes it might kind of be a performance like any other. The Guinness World Record people have already been in, got sent a press release earlier that they have stopped by the theatre, taken a photo of the little sign in the foyer that indicates the number performance the show is on. Passing by that a few months ago, that's how I realised they were heading towards the 30,000th, and why I became interested in coming along tonight. But Guinness hilariously have re-awarded them the world record for the longest theatrical run, which they've held for decades already, but just to reaffirm, that's got to be a nice world record to hold, because you know that no one is going to exceed you, because they can't gain speed, because everything performs nightly. Anyway, we're heading towards the St Martin's. It's a famously very cramped little space. We're actually passing by the stage door right now. It shares this little alley with the Ambassadors Theatre, but I'll show you as much as I can. Now, here's a fun fact. The Mousetrap can currently be found here at St Martin's Theatre, but its previous home was just across here at the Ambassadors. This is the theatre where it first opened, and then it just popped across, interestingly enough. If anyone has seen the murder mystery film See How They Run, that is set at the Mousetrap, but they use multiple different theatres. I think they use the Ambassadors for exterior shots, which would have been historically accurate, but they use the Old Vic Auditorium, and why would you not? It's stunning. And hilariously, they use the Dominion Theatre foyer, which is huge. The St Martin's foyer, as you will see shortly perhaps, is not huge whatsoever. So I am concerned for people who have seen that film and think, oh, we should go see the Mousetrap in London, and then arrive to this wildly smaller version of it than the film suggests. And here it is. This is the money shot. Agatha Christie's The Mousetrap. Look at that glorious neon, now in its 73rd year. That's definitely one of the numbers that I said earlier. Here it is at St Martin's Lane. There's a bit of a buzz about tonight's performance, but nothing wild. And I can already see a lot of zeros on the board inside, indicating the number of tonight's performance, as well as the house full sign. I don't know how many times, it's not a very big auditorium, but I don't know how many times they have that out at the Mousetrap. It is out tonight, as you would expect. This, as mentioned, is the foyer space. I mean, it's lovely, looking very lovely tonight, but not as big as the Dominion, admittedly. And this is the board I told you about, the one that records the number of the performance. That has had a 2 at the front of it for a really, 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 really long time. This has been running for 73 years, so I guess some 24, 25 years of those performances have had a 2 at the front, and now there's going to be a 3 for the next 24, 25 years. And goodness knows how old this is, but this is the cast of today's performance of The Mousetrap, still using this classic sign there. On the right-hand side of the foyer, opposite the box office, you have a little souvenir stand here. We can see some of the items. We can see a Mousetrap baseball cap. We can see an apron. We can see T-shirts up there. We can see a 70th anniversary edition of the script there, I believe, is the hardback book that you were seeing. I think those are Christmas ornaments if you're feeling festive at the Mousetrap, or indeed if you're feeling mousetrappy at Christmas. We have key rings, we have mugs, we have magnets, we have pin badges. We have all sorts here at the Mousetrap. Some interesting bits and pieces over here, just behind the souvenir area. So this is the Silver Mouse presented to St Martin's Theatre by the Mousetrap to mark their first 25 years together. And there it is, and you can see scripts and programmes of the time. Quite different indeed. That in fact is the original director's script, as indicated down there. And then over this side here we have a Guinness World Records certificate, not the one presented today, because this one is for the show being the longest consecutive run of any show in theatre history, with over 23,000 performances since opening on the 25th of November 1952. In fact, tonight that surpasses 30,000, as we know. Lots of little pieces of the show's history shown around the theatre here. This is a picture of the 50th anniversary cast reunion held at the Savoy on the 11th of October 2001. And it is already almost time for this, the 30,000th performance. You can see the gorgeous interior of St Martin's, quite different in design to many other West End theatres. Darker wood colours here, looking not unlike a courtroom, in fact. And this was waiting for us here at our seats in the stalls, a special programme that indicates at the top left corner there the 30,000th performance and the date of tonight's performance. There you go. And there's the performance number as well, featured inside the programme. They do this for every performance. I believe you can also get souvenir brochures sort of stamped with the number performance as well, and that is shown for this one here. Act 2 is about to start. Aaron has seen this more recently than me, so he remembers everything.
I do.
I remember who done it, but I have forgotten literally everything else about the Mousetrap, so I'm going to find out. Well, no curtain call footage for me on this one, because we are keeping the secrets of the play, but the safety curtain has fallen, and the performance has ended. The 30,000th performance of the Mousetrap here at St Martin's Theatre in London. And that was the 30,000th performance of The Mousetrap at St Martin's Theatre. Thoughts, Aaron James?
Loved it.
You saw it very recently.
I saw it recently. It's so interesting. No spoilers. But
no spoilers. Keep the secrets.
But it's so interesting watching it back, having recently seen it, because you realise just how clever Agatha Christie is, and like the depth of things that she does earlier on and the relationships. When you watch it back, you're like, it's so obvious and so interesting how each of them react to stuff that they know, but you don't know, and why.
I want to go see it again immediately now. Yeah.
Honestly, like certain characters, their arcs, you feel so much more for them watching it again.
Yeah.
Than you did the first time.
When was the first time you ever saw it? Had you only seen it once before that?
No, I'd seen it once here and once on tour.
Oh, okay.
So I'd seen it twice before that. So like, but it was interesting actually, because this time I saw it with the same cast twice. Yeah. Which is interesting, because I saw two different casts the other times I saw it. So it's interesting, like having different versions, and they had different directors.
Yes.
I've seen different directions of this show, because they've changed directors during the run of it.
Yeah, currently directed by Philip Franks.
And so it's interesting, specifically two characters that get directed differently every time.
Oh, interesting.
Christopher has always changed depending on the director, and kind of similar with Miss Casewell. So yeah.
There you go. I had only seen this the once before, around a decade ago, and I'd always been planning to. It was always something I thought everyone needs to see it at least once, and I think it must have been on a Tuesday matinee, because not a lot of Tuesday matinees, although Benjamin Button also, and because I wanted to do a 2-show day, but very glad I did. Very glad I saw it again this evening. I'd forgotten how funny it was.
It's honestly, it's for people who like the play that goes wrong. This is the vibe. But what also you don't realise, because I was talking to this with a friend recently, is that the set of The Play That Goes Wrong is an homage to the set of The Mousetrap.
I mean, if this is, yeah.
And the plot of Play That Goes Wrong is the plot of the Mousetrap.
Yeah, if the Mousetrap is sort of the quintessential whodunit play, by virtue of, you know, it being all the tropes and it being what you think of and all these characters who don't know each other coming together and all of these mysteries about the past gradually unfolding, but also because of its legacy, because of how long it's been running, then the Play That Goes Wrong being a spoof of a whodunit, essentially the play that they're trying to do may as well be the Mousetrap. Yeah.
So many elements of it are the Mousetrap, because if you realise, like, I can't say without
Then don't say. But you could do a lovely two-show day with the two of them.
Oh, yeah.
That would be quite funny.
But
do this
you have
first.
to do this first, because I now want to see the Play That Goes Wrong to go, oh, that's meant to be this person, that's meant to be this person, because they match.
It's not exact, but it's...
They're quite close. They're closer than I realised they were.
I didn't get to show you the bar because there was a little bit of kerfuffle during the first act with a dispute between some audience members. It can happen any night of the week, and it can happen at any show. It's not always... jukebox musicals get a bad rap, but I've never heard that happen at a jukebox musical, and I have now heard it happen at the Mousetrap. But didn't get a chance to go to the bar. I believe they have at least one signature cocktail. I think Agatha's Poison is something on offer here.
From what I remember the last time I was here, I think I filmed it. I think there's a signature drink. But I can't fully remember if it was a gin or a wine or something like that was actually Mousetrap themed.
Yeah, but if you pay a visit to St Martin's, as you should, a theatre very much worth exploring. Check out all of the framed pictures, all of the history. It's somewhere between a piece of... it is a functional piece of theatre. That's the thing about it, is it's not just a novelty. It is a really good... It stands up so well. It's really entertaining.
Yeah.
But it also, combined with that, has a unique history about it. And so everything in the theatre pays tribute to that also.
And this is the one show where you have to buy a programme to get that stamp mark so you know which performance you saw.
Yeah, there you go. And hereafter, it will be 30,000 and something, unless you're seeing this video a really long time from now and it's into the 40,000s, but that's going to take another 2.5 decades by my calculation. So, this has been the 30,000th performance of the Mousetrap. I may have more to say after we get home. So that was the 30,000th performance of the Mousetrap, a very special evening at the theatre, and only my second time seeing this play and seeing this production. The first having been around a decade ago when I was looking for something to see of a Tuesday afternoon, and I knew that the Mousetrap was something everyone had to see eventually, but I wasn't necessarily in a rush. However, having now seen the show a couple of times, I can really recommend this. Not only is it much funnier than you might be expecting, this is not a dark and intense thriller like the likes of 222, A Ghost Story. It's very charming, it's very witty, there are a lot of outrageous comedy moments. In terms of why it's been able to endure so long, I think a component of it has become, just the reputation that it has, and it is this museum piece, this iconic thing, but also, functionally, it's still very entertaining, and it still really appeals to audiences. There is something timeless about a whodunit, about a mystery. There's an amount of intrigue that's happening while you are watching everything unfold. You're trying to piece it all together yourself, and you are playing detective in the auditorium. But as well as that, there's something about the sensibility of the thing, especially when it comes to British audiences, because I think there's something so timelessly relatable about a group of 5 strangers coming together awkwardly, and some of them immediately taking a dislike to each other for trivial reasons. That's very familiar of British people, honestly. And without formally reviewing it here, because the show is in its 73rd year and it doesn't need me to tell you that it's of decent quality, I will say that I really enjoyed it, and I particularly enjoyed this current cast. I thought they were all universally excellent. Worth pointing out as well that the show has recently gained a new director in Philip Franks. Obviously, with something continuing over such a prolonged period of time, there will be a passing of the baton between different creative forces. Philip Franks, who interestingly enough is an esteemed director, but is also an actor who can currently be seen on stage at the Gielgud Theatre in Oliver. In any case, he is also taking care of the Mousetrap, and there was no dust on this whatsoever. It felt vital and alive and fresh, which for something that began its life back in the 50s is astonishing. Now, in terms of the actual evening and what transpired, I don't want to dwell too much on the surprising kerfuffle that took place in the stalls, but it did make me wonder if that's something that the show has experienced previously. I mean, it must have done at some point in its 73-year history, over 30,000 performances, and how many of those 30,000 would have been affected by something like that? How many of those 30,000 have had showstops? How many of those 30,000 have had understudies go on mid-show, or have had to be cancelled, or have had fire alarms? Any number of things. I started to to get very curious about the statistics of all of it, and I hope somebody is keeping those records somewhere. With all of that out of the way, however, it was a very warmly received evening at the Mousetrap. There were at least a few audience members who were seeing it for the first time, but I wonder if it had many return visitors on this very special occasion, and how many people were really surprised by the revelations of the play, which I'm not going to spoil for you here, and I encourage you all not to say anything in the comments section either. Don't spoil it. Interestingly enough, the curtain call just took place as usual, and I don't know if this is because they have a more celebratory gala acknowledging the passing of each year for what will be its 74th birthday. Obviously, there is a big 75th anniversary upcoming, and within the next few decades, the 100th anniversary, the centennial of the Mousetrap. That's quite astonishing. If I were feeling more mathematical, I would sit here and figure out how many performances it will have reached by the time that it gets to that number. I don't think it will be quite 50,000 off the top of my head. In fact, it won't. It'll be a little over 40. But in any case, the occasion passed neither with a cake nor a speech on stage. It was very special, however, just to know that we were at that momentous performance. And not for nothing, there were special programs and goodie bags on everyone's seats, courtesy of TodayTix, everyone's favourite ticketing app. So as well as this lovely The Mousetrap tote bag that you can see here, we also have a couple things inside. I haven't looked yet, I've been waiting to show you. Oh, there's a magnet. There you go. Have you done it? Question mark. I'm going to put this right on my microwave and also echo its sentiments. Everyone should see The Mousetrap at some point. If you're a UK theatregoer who still hasn't seen The Mousetrap, what are you doing? We also have a little key ring here. Let's open that. Some ASMR crackling for you there. There we go. Lovely. A little Mousetrap mouse. Fun fact, I've been calling this show The Mousetrap, ironically, for a long time now, and I'm having to actively unlearn it, especially for the purposes of this video, because that would get confusing. We have a gorgeous The Mousetrap notebook for you there, with lovely lined pages. This might be my next notebook for reviewing shows when I finish with my current one, which should be any day now. And all of those items are also available from the merchandise kiosk that I showed you on the right-hand side of the foyer when you enter the theatre. Please let me know if you've seen The Mousetrap, and if you are considering seeing The Mousetrap. I met a lovely family who I believe were coming to see the 30,000th performance because I highlighted the number of performance that it was on in a previous video when we were doing a West End scavenger hunt. So that was really, really nice to hear, because that's exactly what I was hoping would happen. And I'm hoping with this video that more people will be encouraged to go and see the show, especially if it's not something that you thought you might enjoy before. I'm telling you, it's very lovely. In the meantime, thank you so much for joining me vicariously at the 30,000th performance of The Mousetrap. I hope that you enjoyed this slightly different style of video from me, and I hope that everyone is staying safe and that you have a stagey day. And don't spoil it in the comments.
No.
And come and see the play.
Yeah.
For 10 more seconds, I'm MickeyJoTheatre. Oh my god, hey. Thanks for watching, have a stagey day. Subscribe!